If you read East African business news, you tend to think that, big economies like Kenya or very innovative economies like Rwanda are the only economies that are actually doing a lot of things in terms of their economic output and in terms of their economic growth. But don't be fooled by this. There are some economies that are sort of in the middle range that get overshadowed by Kenya and Rwanda in this. And right now here we're talking about Uganda. The Uganda Securities Exchange has actually had a robust growth over the years, and we're going to talk about it today and figure out ways in which you can start investing in this great market. Of course, starting with the numbers here and sort of a general overview of Uganda, you're looking at East Africa's third largest economy. East Africa, which of course is a very diverse and very big economic region of its own. This is the third largest economy in the East African region, and because of this, you want to look at this. In front of it, there is Tanzania and Kenya, just for context. And so this economy actually has great potential to grow, given its population size, which forms the base of the market. Uganda is an interesting country. Uganda is a robust economy that has actually been doing well over the years and is predicted, by the African Development Bank and the World Bank to continue being on that, consistent upward trajectory. When you look at their all-share index, the Uganda Stock Securities Exchange all-share index, in the past month alone, until today, of course, as the date of recording this is Monday, May 31, today. In the past month alone, the market has gone up 4.64%. In the past 3 months, the market has gone up 7.05%. Year to date, that is from 1 January 2021 until today, May 31, 2021, the market has gone up 10.97%. These are interesting numbers. This is why, as I'm telling you guys, it's something that is hidden just because of the overshadowing of Kenya and the overshadowing that happens with also Rwanda on the other side of innovation and everything, and sort of being in the news in terms of East African business news. But you want to look at this market because, as you can see, these numbers are interesting. But of course, we won't spend a lot of time on the numbers because this video is not about the numbers. It is about how you get to put your foot in the door and to start investing on the Uganda Securities Exchange. So let's get right into it and get onto the how part. How do you do it? The first point, as we always say on this channel, is that you need to read, research, and understand the market. How do you do that? We have a video that's specifically for that, where we give you our top 3 sources of information on African stock markets. After you get to the point of understanding the market, then you actually want to go to the website of the Uganda Securities Exchange and for you to figure out which broker to use. I'm going to leave a link in the description below of the brokers that are there. There are 7 by my count of the brokers that are there, and then you email them. You email them a generic email. You email and you tell them your name, where you live. You tell them you're interested in investing in Uganda and you want to start your journey, and then you ask them, look, you want to know what is it that's required to open an account, any minimum investments that you need to have, or any minimum amount of money you need to put, and then of course ask them if you need to open a local bank account or not. Because as we always say, local bank accounts are much more difficult to open compared to just regular stockbroking accounts. So you want to know this information beforehand. And then when they have responded, which they're likely to do because these guys are actually really good in terms of response rate, you want to narrow down your list of the brokers which you're going to use in Uganda. The narrowing down of the list, you want to look at the research that they have offered in the past. Have they offered any research which you consider, to be worthy? And because research is very important in terms of your investment journey. You want to understand the companies, but the best people who can understand these companies are the brokers who work with these companies almost on a daily basis. And so how they present their research is very important in determining what investors will do in the market. This research goes out to pension funds, individual investors, and everything. And there is no lying to the fact that most investors really depend on research for them to make their investment decisions. Very few investors go out on their own and do their own site visits of companies and talk to management. This is something that is just really cumbersome, especially if you don't actually live in Uganda yourself. So research will be an important part of your journey here, looking at it. And then you also want to ask them if they offer broker-controlled accounts or not. If you're someone who is not yet that confident to choose the companies yourself, then you might want to ask whether they offer broker-controlled accounts where you just send them the money and they make the decisions of what to invest. based on what their professional, opinion is, and not, of course, based on their personal opinion, but professional opinion in terms of the corporate professional opinion. And then, of course, you want to ask them, as I said just before, do they need you to open a local bank account? Local bank accounts are harder to start. Local bank accounts have a lot of KYC requirements, and if you can avoid it, you don't want to open a local bank account in a country where you're not doing anything else other than just using that local bank account as a pass-through entity for, whether your sale proceeds or your dividends, because sometimes you might even incur charges for just having the bank account open when you don't actually use it on a daily basis. And then definitely when we get to the requirements here, talking of what my broker that I use is, and of course I'm going to leave information about my broker in the comments below. What they require for you to open an account, they need you to have an account opening form, which they'll send out to you, and you fill out and then you send it to them. And then they also want you to have a notarized ID, in this case will be a passport. Unless you're a citizen of Uganda and you live in the country, you can have other forms of ID. But if you don't, then mainly you're looking at having a passport here. They also want you to have a passport picture that you send them to them. This is very simple, just 3 things. And then when these 3 things are done, you send it out to them. Minimum amounts, are there any minimum amounts for you that they need for you to invest in Uganda? The answer is a beautiful no. There are no minimum amounts. However little amount you have, you can start getting to the point where if you had put in your money on 1 January, we'll be talking of 10% return here. And this is something that you really want for you to start to put your foot on the door, no matter how little you have, and start investing in this beautiful African country with great people. How do you fund your account? If you're not living in Uganda, then definitely you're looking here at doing international wire transfers. If you do live in Uganda, I think you can do local bank transfers or mobile money. I'm not sure about the mobile money point, but bank transfers definitely yes, I know that point. And so this is how you're doing the communication in terms of monetary communication. Now, when you receive your dividends, the good thing here about Uganda is that your dividends can actually be sent to an account anywhere in the world, which is good because, you don't actually, because of this reason, you don't actually have to rush and open a bank account, because then there's no need for you to actually open a bank account unless you want to do more business in Uganda that's not related to your investments on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And then now getting to the point of communication, what is the medium of language here that you'll be using with these brokers? You'll be talking to these brokers in English. They all use English and they understand English in Uganda. So that's great if you're someone who is from an English-speaking background. And then, of course, in terms of exchanging information, mainly emails, mostly, because that's what most people just do and it's free. And then, of course, if something pops up and you really want to understand a point, or you really want to talk about a certain company, in depth, then you can always make an international call. The guys that you find here, and of course, the brokers that I use, which I've linked in the description below, they're very, responsive. They're always willing to take calls and, to walk me through the process and, talk to me about the companies that are actually in their market, and for me to figure out whether there's a best way for me to get to a decision to say, I'm interested and I'm confident in investing in this company. So this is something that you really want if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of knowledge about this market. You want to be able to get people who can communicate with you constantly and are responsive to your queries every time that you're having something, and you really want to understand something more about the market. So if you have a Uganda investment story, if you're someone who has already started investing in Uganda, or if you're someone who is looking forward to starting to invest in Uganda, do let me know in the comments below, and we can be able to, talk about your story and how it has been going for you investing in this great African country. But until next time, my name is Maro. See you then.